Hello, this is a very brief overview. It's going to have a short history of Odoo's growth up until 2022. Should be an explanation of the main problem our platform and company solves for businesses. I'm going to highlight some of the key differentiators that make us special and also take a look at the future of what will come next. Note that this video is mostly meant for internal Odoo training purposes, but it might be of interest to the public, especially if you want to learn more about our company. So, Odoo originally began in Belgium, but it's spread out globally over the last couple of decades. Today, Odoo is a global multi-entity company, and here in the US, we base our operations out of the San Francisco office, and we operate pretty independently with over 500 people managing accounts, working with new Odoo clients to manage accounts and provide professional services like implementation and aftercare support. But we want to continue to expand into all markets and bring the platform to as many users as we can. Now, a better way to understand the growth is this timeline. Now, the CEO, Fabien Pinquer, over here, who is a software developer, originally began Odoo in 2002 as a project to make an easy open source software for his father's business. The side project quickly blew up and turned into a real company in 2005 and just steadily grew year after year. You'll notice we had one point in our history where we had to let some employees go, and the reason is we still had to work out some details in the business model. Right around 2013, we figured some important things out, like the importance of offering our own professional services for implementation and support. It helped fill out the gaps and helped us to succeed. As you can see, it's really taken off, especially in the last 5 or 6 years. As of May 2022, we have over 2,200 employees. We made $100 million last year, and we are legitimately profitable, which you can't always say about up-and-coming tech companies. Our rate of growth is incredible. You may have read that we were recently valued at $2.3 billion, which grants us the elusive unicorn status. So Odoo has been successful up to this point, which is great, but the question is really how? And I like to answer that question by highlighting the main problem that we've always set out to solve since day one. The problem that we solve is that it's always been a challenge for SMBs to have a great full-scope software solution. This diagram helps to illustrate that problem. On the one hand, there have always been systems with a broad scope, meaning that they can help with a lot of parts, departments, and processes of your business. The big ERP systems like SAP, NetSuite, Oracle, and so on. They have a lot of features, and there is a lot of integration between the functions of those softwares. Unfortunately, they also usually have an old-fashioned or messy interface. It can be very, very complicated. It can be hard to customize unless you pay a developer a ton of money. And then the software itself can be really expensive, of course, as well as any services related to it, not just the software, but the services to implement and things like that. And they can be really difficult to update, so customers, they might end up stuck on an old version. It's not uncommon to hear somebody is using a version of SAP from 20 years ago just because they're stuck. On the other end of the spectrum, there are many single-use tools out there like Shopify, MailChimp, HubSpot, and they're usually very modern. They're usually easy to learn. They're not too expensive. They're not hard to update. But the problem, and it's a very big problem, is that the scope is small with these softwares, so you end up needing a lot of different softwares, and you need to figure out how to run them all together. This helps illustrate that nightmare scenario. You end up trying to either use existing integrations and hope that they continue to work and they never break, or you might need to hire developers to build integrations specifically for you. Or maybe you just don't integrate them at all and you have to manually do double entry if you ever want your sales orders to feed into your warehouse inventory, for example. It's a huge mess and it can really add up in cost and it can cause a lot of problems that we hear about every day. So Odoo solves those problems by bringing the best of both worlds. We believe we do this better than any other platform out there. We bring a huge scope, just like a traditional ERP, but we have all of the advantages of these one-app tools like its usability, its affordability, and its scalability. We are working towards transforming the market and allowing companies of any size, large or small, to get a modern integrated software that makes their lives easier. More specifically, some of the key differentiators about what makes Odoo special. Obviously, the integration is huge. The apps that we have, they're perfectly connected and the data is shared across in real time. What this lets you do is it lets you have great smooth workflows and it really helps to automate and keep a cleanly run organization. The scalability is part of that too. You can start small and expand as you go very easily. The modular abilities let you quickly install more modules as you go, and you'll never break the integrations as you do it. Ease of use is critical for Odoo, and we mean that not just for managers, but for every single employee in the company. So inventory, shop floor workers, accountants, retail workers, support technicians, and so on. We want it to be easy to adopt, and we want them to learn it very quickly too. The flexibility of the platform is huge. There are a lot of built-in ways to easily make huge modifications in a no-code drag and drop kind of a way. Plus, it's very easy to just make custom developments, and the open API is accessible too if you need to make integrations. Another key strength is how we've evolved our product over the years. We release a major new version each year with new features, whole new apps, and we refactor our code to make it faster and leaner. Compared to most companies out there, we invest a lot back into our product because we know it's going to pay off in the long term. And that's why we're currently up to version 15 with 16 on the horizon. Yeah, and as far as the horizon goes, the future of Odoo is looking very bright. It's good to think of it in terms of what is short term, as in the next year or two, as well as our long-term plans over the decade and beyond. We try to dream big too, so our long-term plans, it's important to know what we want the future to look like for businesses everywhere, not just within the Odoo ecosystem. In the short term, we're going to release Odoo version 16 at the end of the year. Current Odoo clients will be able to opt in to do upgrade for free if they want, of course. Each year has a different major focus. This time, we want to focus on improving the performance, making it run even faster, and have even smoother usability. We are adding a new app called Knowledge, which will allow companies to build out their own internal training, onboarding, and integrated information that helps their employees become masters within their own companies faster. We did a lot to improve our website builder last year. Now we're focusing specifically on e-commerce features for online ordering, like B2C and B2B sales. And of course, all of our apps will be receiving tons of little improvements here and there. They'll be announced and showcased in October during the Odoo Experience annual event. Now, long term, we will continue to expand our global presence. In addition to creating offices, this also means developing accounting localizations and creating documentation and resources that are specific to those regions. One way or another, our plan is to double and be around 5,000 employees in just a few more years. We are constantly growing. Now, we also want to focus more and more on the larger side of companies and tackle the mid-market and corporate space. And we define that as companies with, we're saying, 8,000 or 10,000 employees, really, really huge enterprises, for example. This means focusing a lot of our efforts on development of our brand awareness through a variety of different marketing efforts like billboards, podcasts, case studies. It means we also need to build out whole new teams and whole new processes to support and implement these much larger projects. And we're going to continue to develop key partnerships like our recent integration with SPS Commerce, which is a leading EDI hub provider. I would say that the biggest long-term ambition is that we want to help change the market by making ERP a commodity. By this, we mean we want ERP integrated software to be perceived as such an essential part of the business that it's a no-brainer for every company. And every business would just know that it naturally needs a modern suite of apps like Odoo, just like a business knows that it needs utilities or insurance or employees. And to do this, to commodify ERP as a concept, we want to keep creating Odoo fans, not just users, but super fans that really love Odoo for what it is. We want to continue to be innovative with how we create new, enjoyable ways for business software to be used. And we want to develop new tools to cut down on technical debt because we want to think more sustainably about the future for these companies and these users. Ultimately, we are going to continue to do what we've done all along. We will continue with our mission to save businesses from boring tasks. We will keep them from wasting their time, and we will eliminate operational inefficiencies. Thank you very much.